Hey guys, Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina. Sorry for the late start tonight. We are a few minutes behind, but it's 7:33 and it's time for that live stream show. Welcome to the Hubbard's Marina live stream show, Off the Hook with Captain Hubbard, and appreciate you tuning in and joining us tonight for another great episode of our live show. We've got lots to talk about tonight. We're going to be talking about what's going on now, what's coming up. We're going to talk a little bit about the weather. We're going to show you what we're catching now. We're going to talk a little bit about what we plan to catch, and then we're going to answer your questions, plus give away free stuff during the live show. In order to win free stuff, all you have to do is comment one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. You can watch on YouTube, you can watch on Instagram, you can watch on a multitude of different platforms, Trovo, Twitch. We're streaming all over the place, but in order to be eligible to win, you do have to comment once on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream, and then watch on your favorite platform wherever you feel most comfortable. Now, I want to make sure we give a shout out to our friends over there at Gator Jim's Tackle, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. They are our title sponsors of the show. They're the ones who brought you this show. Gator Jim's Tackle, again, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. Stop by and see them. They have a great selection, killer deals. It's Black Friday every day at Gator Jim's Tackle. You really are missing out if you haven't stopped in and seen our friends over there at Gator Jim's Tackle. Now, also want to make sure we give a shout out to, of course, our supporters group out there, our supporters family. Those of you in our supporters group make the world go round for us, guys. We appreciate all you do and all the great insight and information that you have in that supporters group and all the great conversations we have going on in that private supporters group and helping to power and fuel our show. So big shout out to our special supporters out there. Josh is going to drop the link in the chat here. If you're interested in becoming a supporter today, right on our website under more info, you can hit fishing trips, more info, you can hit the supporters club. But Josh is going to drop the link in the chat for you guys as well. So check it out, and we appreciate your help. Also want to make sure we give a shout out to our star senders. Last week we had a little trouble where it wasn't showing quite everybody, so hopefully we don't have that problem tonight. But let's see what we got going on. We have Stephen Batchelor with 200 stars, Rick Rogers with 1,000, Phil Batisto with 200. Thank you, Phil. Richard Blazak, Jasmine Marie, Nick Nieves with 1,500. Thank you, my friend. Tim Dykes with 600. We had Ryan Kelly with 50 and the Jimmy family with 1,000. Thank you, guys. Big shout out to y'all. Keith White, what's going on, my friend? And I think it did cut some people off in the very beginning because I saw some names that just disappeared. So I don't know. Maybe it just cuts off people that do it before the show or something. What do you got going on over there, Josh? Do you have a different list than I have, potentially? I don't know what's going on. It's very strange how that works, but Josh is going to try to find out if we have any other names there, but it's seems like it doesn't show people that send stars before the show starts, maybe. I don't know. But how would Facebook know when our show starts? Yeah, you have the same list I do. Huh. Strange. All right, well, I think we did miss some people, so I apologize if we did miss you, but appreciate all those star senders in a big way, for sure. Definitely helps us to make all this show possible and do all the great things that we do here on our live stream show. Don Schuett, what's up, buddy? Appreciate your 400 stars there. And Nick Nieves said he sent 3,000 stars. Appreciate you, my friend. Yeah, it must have cut off the first half of the stars or something. I don't know what's going on there. Strange. We got to look into that with Facebook. All right, let's see. What do we got going on here? Also, besides the star senders and the supporters, want to make sure we give a shout out to all of those who make Hubbard's Marina possible, who come out and go fishing with us and visit us at the docks there. So appreciate all of our patrons and Hubbard's Marina family. D. Beers, appreciate you and Mike. with those 500 stars. All right, let's get rolling into the photos and talk a little bit about what we're catching now. What are we seeing out there on the water? You want to know? Let's find out. Inshore, we're seeing some of them pompano. The pompano bite's going pretty darn good. We're catching some pompano around the pass. It's one of those things. I was talking to Don VC, one of our Regulars Club members, Supporters Club members, a big part of our Hubbard's Marina family. He came down and was fishing around the jetty one day on his day off trying to catch some pompano, and he didn't get lucky. And we were talking quickly in passing, and one thing that I have found, Buka Harris, our bait guy, who's an avid inshore fisherman, fishes inshore a lot, was mentioning the same thing, and other people that fish for pompano regularly, is it's one of those species that moves around a lot. So like one day you'll catch them really well in John's Pass, then the next day they won't be there. They'll be in Blinds Pass, or they'll be in Pass Grill, or they'll be in Sand Key or Clearwater Pass. They just swim so fast in a pretty large group, and so those concentrations of pompano move pretty rapidly up and down our beautiful beaches. So it makes it a little bit difficult to get kind of dialed in on them for that reason. Mark Given, what's up, man? Appreciate you being a supporter on YouTube as well. All right, let's see. What other photos do we got? So some more pompano being caught. Lots of redfish lately. The redfish are starting to transition more to those dock lines and get a little bit more of that wintertime pattern we're seeing with the redfish. But still some redfish moving around on the flats, the oysters, the oyster beds, the mangrove shorelines. But definitely residential canal dock lines start to become a good haunt for those redfish. There's a nice little beach redfish. Some solid action on those slow-moving soft plastics for sure. The sheep's head bite has been stellar. We're seeing a lot of sheep's head around our docks, piers, bridges, jetties, rock piles. A lot of the bridges holding some nice sheep's head. So some good opportunities there on the sheep's head. Snook. Sun-drenched shoreline, that's what you're looking for, those sunny seawalls. Something that's going to emit some heat is going to keep those snook warm during the day. It's going to definitely help your action on the snook. Scott Flynn, appreciate those 200 stars. Mohammed, what's up, my friend, with the big 500. Appreciate you, Mohammed. Also, we're seeing some of the snook around the dock lights. This time of year, underwater dock lights, kind of the secret spot there I'll share with you. This time of year when it's real water temperatures start dipping down, the underwater lights, especially the old school underwater lights, the newer LED lights suck because they don't emit heat. The old school underwater lights, the halogens and the domes, they emit a lot of heat. You know, temperature degree or two difference means a lot, and it will get those snook feeding more actively and concentrate them. So those underwater lights are a good spot to look for those snook. This time of year in the cooler nights. We're seeing a lot of snook in the upper bay and back bay areas, but again, looking for those sun-drenched shorelines, wind-protected shorelines, real sunny areas in the back and upper bay waters are where you're going to find the snook. In the early morning hours, our good friend John Sasser is still hunting around, finding some nice snook. He's saying deeper hunts, deeper holes holding those snook. Look at that beast of a snook in the upper bay. You can tell how it's really close to those river mouse and creek mouse with how dark that snook is. The snook has such a dark back. It's tucked way up there into the back bay and upper bay waters, trying to stay a little bit cooler, or warmer, I should say, trying to regulate its body temperature. Trout action's been going well. We're seeing a lot of trout around the area. Soft plastics. There's Captain Mike's favorite soft plastic that I think he called it a Paul Brown. Forget the name of it. Basically the needle style soft plastic. Let me see. Full screen cam. Nope, that was the wrong one. Full screen no cam. That's it. See that lure. Let's see here. This is the lure Captain Mike was talking about. The soft plastic just basically comes to a point. This is the one he was saying was one of his favorite for trout this time of year. Real light jig head, and then that soft plastic that comes to a point. So that's a popular one if you look at some of the photos here. Little John, that was it. Thank you, Eddie Chaps, Little John. Paul Brown. Paul Brown's a different one. I think that's the soft plastic jerkbait that I like. It's a mirror lure. But Little John is the soft plastic name that we were thinking of there. So some solid trout action going well, and we're seeing a lot of them, and the inshore bite is going well. So now we're going to work our way near shore, show you guys what we're catching a little bit deeper near shore. Make sure you guys are thinking of some questions. Remember, if you do have a question, text it to our main office phone number. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you can see it down here in the bottom corner. If you're watching on Instagram, it's probably cut off, but it's 727-393-1947. Shoot us a text with your question if you do have a question for us. George Arterburn, appreciate those 100 stars, my friend. Thanks, George. All right, let's see. Near shore photos. What are we catching near shore? So first things first, near shore, we're going to work our way out there and show you guys. Oh, nice flounder action. We're seeing some of those flounder definitely picking up on our near shore bite. On our half-day trips when we're drifting, we see a lot of flounder as we kind of slide off that hard bottom. We also see some flounder on our 10-hour all days when we're hog fishing. A lot of times those hogfish on the edge of the rocks, edge of the reef, edge of the ledge, and it starts to get a little sandy, and that's where those flounder are hanging out too. So often we'll see the flounder mixed in with the hogfish. While we're using those live shrimp, we catch some of those flounder too. So good time of year to see some real big flounder occasionally, and a nice surprise. And you can tell behind this gentleman, there's 1, 2, 3 people in him. So there's 4 people on the whole side of this boat. That's the kind of trips we've been running right now. Just absolutely super light loads. This is a 5-hour half day. The 5-hour half day has definitely been a little bit more busy, but 10-hour all days are averaging 18, 20, 25 people at most generally. Half day trips anywhere from 20 to 35 people. Even the weekends are like 40 people or less generally. So super light loads right now. And in between these fronts, we have some really nice weather windows where fishing is hot. Today was one of those days. It was a cool overcast day. We had a lot of fog. It was super foggy, a little wet and damp, but no wind, no seas, and some really, really good fishing opportunities. They crushed it again. So lots of good hogfish action. We're catching quite a few hogfish on our 10-hour all days. The 5-hour half days are catching a bunch of them. Even our friends in their private boats are catching a lot of nice hogfish and sending us some photos for our fishing report. We're seeing a lot of mackerel around near shore, even inshore around those deeper Bay Area bridges where water's moving fast. We're seeing some solid yellowtail offshore. You can see this yellowtail was caught on the slow pitch jig. So they are thick out there. We're catching some really nice yellowtails, some throwback gag grouper, studly hogfish, and that's Smitty holding the hogfish. So the hogfish bite is so good right now. Even Smitty, the dockmaster / galley cook, is catching hogfish. That's how you know they're thick. That's how you know they're biting well. We're seeing some nice mangrove snapper mixed in there on our 10-hour all day. Solid lane snapper from the 12-hour night trip. The 12-hour night snapper has been doing real well. We've got one more 12-hour night snapper trip this year. We got plenty more next year. We've got one more Friday 39-hour trip, one more Tuesday 39-hour trip. So they're coming up fast. So last chances for some lighter loads in 2023 before our 2024 schedule kicks off. Remember, 2024 schedule is open now, so you can book your 2024 trips. Speaking of 2024, look at this beautiful red grouper. We're going to go back and catch and keep January 1st. This is our new second captain, Lauren, showing off a beautiful red grouper, some catch and release shark action, lots of nice trigger fish, big yellowtail. Definitely a great opportunity to get out there and catch some fish. So hopefully we'll see you very soon. Remember, starting in January, we do have dry dock. So January and the first half of February, we won't have any 39-hour trips, but we do have plenty of 12-hour extreme trips. The party boat is going to be running half-day trips. Our 10-hour trips are going to be on the Hub, the private charter boat. So it's like a 10-hour extreme, right? It's on a smaller, faster boat, doesn't have the air-conditioned galley. It doesn't have the air-conditioned cabin, doesn't have the full galley, but going to be less people, less lines in the water, and some great opportunities to catch hogfish, lanes, and many, many more. So definitely a little different the first 6 weeks of the year, but going to be fun. And hopefully we'll see you soon. Now, let's get into the weather. We showed you what we're catching. And let's get into the weather. We're going to go to hubbardsmarina.com. We have our beautiful calendar available. Hopefully you'll grab a calendar from us. We also have our Black Friday deals going on in our online store. So if you go to shop and you hit Marina store, that'll take you to our online store. The Black Friday deals are going on through December 16th. So you've got 11 more days to take advantage of the Black Friday sale. Online and in store, we have even more deals, so definitely check that out. But back to hubbardsmarina.com, click fishing trips, scroll down there to weather links, the second option, and we're going to look first at our 5 and 10 hour wind finder forecast area. You can clearly see that the wind is going to be picking up midweek. We have a pretty strong cold front coming through. We've got a decent cold front tomorrow, but a pretty strong one Wednesday, followed by a little bit of high pressure. And then we have a nice start to the weekend. Should be some really good fishing there behind the blow. So Friday, we've got a super light 39-hour trip. And then it's going to puff up Sunday afternoon with a solid cold front. Look at that. Temperatures into the 50s. 52 degrees Tuesday morning on the water. That is brutal. That is Arctic temperatures. Might have to call in cold. Ooh, that's gotta be frigid. Arctic. Brutal. So, 3 cold fronts in the next 7 days, basically. So we are in the pitch of our Florida winter. And what this means to you is you have to capitalize on these weather windows. You have to time your trips. Are you putting in sound effects, Josh?
No. Yeah.
Are you hitting buttons?
Yeah, I did. You were like, oh, it's frigid. I went the womp womp.
Nice. Very nice. So let's see. It is going to be all about timing your trips around these fronts because it becomes paramount to kind of look at the weather and then try to estimate or guesstimate when the fishing is best. So we're going to scroll in here to this chart, and you can see here December 9th, which I believe is Saturday. Yeah, it is Saturday. So we have a cold front coming tomorrow, kind of weak one. So it's going to kind of mess up the fishing and the weather a little bit tomorrow. Tuesday's going to be okay. We have a strong front coming in Wednesday. So I would say fishing is pretty decent. It was good today. Maybe okay tomorrow. Tuesday is going to be pretty decent because it's between fronts. It's behind a weak front before a strong front. Wednesday is going to be pretty crappy because you got a strong front coming through. Then Thursday is right behind a strong front, so it's going to be probably pretty crappy. Friday looks really good because it's behind a strong front. Another stronger front is coming. December 9th looks great. Few days behind a decent front, right before a really strong front. So according to this forecast right now, your best fishing day is going to be December 9th for nearshore and offshore fishing at least. To get out there, go deep, and catch a bunch of fish. We'll scroll down and look at it. Yeah, look at that. East wind shifting out of the south. So you have a high pressure giving way to that south wind, that prefrontal wind. It's going to be sunny blue skies. It's going to be a little windy. It's going to be a little breezy. It doesn't look bumpy near shore. It's only 2 foot or less. But there is going to be a little bit of a breeze. But atmospheric pressure, that barometer is going to be dropping, really moving, and preparing to dump as it gets this big front coming through. So I would bet Saturday's fishing is going to be real good. Friday's going to be okay. It's going to be a little bit of a high pressure and still kind of close to that front. Thursday doesn't look so great. Wednesday looks terrible. Tuesday looks okay. Maybe okay. Tomorrow, not so great. That's what you're looking at. It's really important to keep watching, too, because everything I just said right now can totally change 24 hours from now if these fronts shift a little bit. Like I said, Saturday's the best day to go fishing, but if that front that's supposed to come through Sunday speeds up a little bit, then all of a sudden Friday's the best day to go. If that front slows down or stalls, then all of a sudden Sunday might be the best day. So it really becomes so important to keep watching our live updates and keep an eye on those weather links pages. And you want to fish right before a front, a few days after the previous front. If you can capitalize on those weather windows, you're going to have your best opportunity to catch as many fish as possible. Right now, near shore, hogfish, lanes, mangroves, mackerel, and maybe a big flounder. Offshore, scamp, mangroves, triggerfish. We're catching a lot of mutton, yellowtails. We're seeing big porgies, vermilions, and plenty of other species too. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. Let's roll right into a giveaway and do our first free giveaway of the night. We're going to start it off with our 5-hour half day and see who won our 5-hour half day for 2 guests, 1 lucky winner, 2 guests, 5-hour half day. Let's find out who that winner is. Josh. My water bottle. Daisy White from northern Wisconsin up on Lake Superior, the Great White North. You have won a free 5-hour half-day trip for 2 guests. It looks like she's going to be coming down in 2 weeks, and now you get to go fishing even more on your vacation, Daisy. Congratulations, and we look forward to fishing with you. All right, so we talked a little bit about what we're catching now. We thanked our supporters, our star senders, and Gator Gems. Talked a little bit about the weather. And now it's time to get into some questions. So hopefully you guys want to ask some questions. Remember, you can ask a question at the phone number at the bottom of the screen, 727-393-1947. We can answer your question live during the show. First question, is there any set dates for amberjacks or gag grouper? So we will roll through this real quick for you. There's 5 main species that have seasons, right? So you have gag grouper. That season will be for 2024, September 1st opening. And right now we don't know when it's going to close or when the projection of the closure will happen. I know because I attend a lot of meetings and because I have some inside information because I attend a lot of meetings, it's probably going to be anywhere from 3 weeks to as much as maybe 3 months. So book your trips heavily in September. Plan to go fishing on your own boat or your buddy's boat or another boat September. In the Gulf of Mexico, September 1st for about 3 weeks to about 3 months. So it's kind of up in the air, but we know it's going to open September 1st in 2024. How long it will be open is a big question. That's gag grouper. Red grouper is going to open January 1st. And it's going to be open until the quota is projected to be met. Now, that could be April, that could be November, or it could be anywhere in between. We'll know more about gag grouper season as we get into April-ish. We'll know more about red grouper closure about that same time. Red snapper will definitely open June 1st, and it will definitely close around August 24th-ish. Could be a few days after, could be a few days before, but I would bet you $100 million it will be very similar to our season last year. We hit our ACT, we hit 95% of our ACT, and that's been very consistent for our federal for-hire subsector of our recreational fishery for red snapper. So our red snapper season opens June 1st, and I believe last year it closed August 24th, I believe. off the top of my head. And if that season was 95% of the ACT, they're probably not going to change it. If anything, they might add a day. So our season will be almost the exact same as 2023 for red snapper. So that's red grouper, red snapper, and gag grouper. Amberjack season will be September 1st opening, and it will be open for about 3 weeks. I would guesstimate. Maybe 4, but probably about 3 weeks, maybe 2. So very short Amberjack season, going to start September 1st. I think that was it. Oh, Triggerfish was the other one that has seasons. The last 2 years, this year included, last year, we haven't had a quota closure on Triggerfish. So that means they should be open January 1st all the way through the end of the year. But they have that spawning protection in June and July. So they're closed. Triggerfish are closed June and July, but they should be open the rest of the year. So that's what we're looking at seasons-wise for 2024. Jenny Jo Wilkins, appreciate those 99 stars. Thank you so much. When you catch a fish, can you clean them on the boat? If you're planning to clean them to keep, no, we can't clean or fillet fish on the boat because it gets into one of those weird gray areas. We can't have fillets on the boat, basically. So no cleaning fish, no cleaning harvested fish on the boat. We have to take whole fish back to the boat or to the dock. And once you get back to the dock, we take your fish out of our fish box. All of our fish, any fish caught on our boat cannot be recreationally, or any fish caught on our boat is recreationally harvested. It cannot be sold or traded in any way. It's a recreational fish. All of our fish get stored in our fish box. We're responsible to store and keep track and keep count of those fish. When we get back to the dock, your fish that you caught are handed to you. At that point, you could take them home, clean them yourself. You can clean them at the dock at one of our extra tables. You could take them down to Don's dock, and we can clean and package them for you if you'd like, and even ship them. I don't recommend shipping. It's expensive, but we can package them for you. Then once you have your fish and you're ready to go, you can then do whatever you want at that point. But you can't clean fish on the boat if you plan to harvest them. Now, some people will catch like a white grunt, what we call a gray snapper, or a porgy, or a sand perch, or what we call a squirrel fish. And they'll cut those, like fillet them or butterfly them, and they'll use them for bait. You could do that with species that don't have size limits or bag limits. So an unregulated species can be used for bait legally, and those fish then you could clean, butterfly, chunk up, whatever you want to do. But like say a yellowtail, a vermilion, a lane snapper, something that has a size limit or bag limit, you cannot use for bait legally. Mohammed Tor, appreciate those 500 stars, my friend. Jason Coling, what's up, my friend? Appreciate those 99 stars. I apologize I haven't texted you back yet, but hope you're doing well. Richard Harcourt, appreciate those 100 stars, my friend. All right, next question. What's the optimal lead time you recommend when researching and planning a trip? It depends. A 5-hour half day, you could show up that day. You could just call the day before and book a half day trip. 10-hour trip, maybe a day or two before. Now our 10 hours in January and early February when we switch to the hub. You want to book those more in advance because those 10-hour trips in early part of next year when we're on that smaller boat only hold 14 people, though they will book up really early. So book those 10 hours in advance. Outside of that, 10-hour trip, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 days notice is tons. As you get longer, more experienced trips, 12-hour night, 12-hour extreme, generally 2, 3, 4 weeks out, 39 hours, people are booking well in advance. Like, for example, our schedule just opened December 1st at 11 a.m. for our 2024 trips. A lot of our June, July, August, September trips already have 10, 15, 20. Some of them have 30 people on them. Like the week of Red Snapper opener, the week of Gag Grouper opener already have 20, 25, 30 people booked. So we have a lot of trips that are already filling up when you talk about 39 or 44-hour trips in those prime times. Now, a lot of people get too hung up on, well, this fish is open, this is the time I'm going fishing. Like so many people December 1st were calling and only booking trips in June, July, and August when red snapper's open. And it's sad, really, because those people only experience the 39-hour trip during that super high demand time when it's super hot outside and it's just not enjoyable. Whereas this time of year, it's cool, it's really nice between fronts, and there's 20 people, 25 people on the boat, and there's tons of fish to catch. So don't get too tied up in what's open, what's in season, all that. Get out there and go fishing and enjoy it. And especially this time of year, you got lots of elbow room, plenty of room around the boat, more one-on-one time with the crew and captains. You got tons of fish to catch too, so it's a lot of fun. Richard Harcourt, appreciate those 250 stars, my friend. Our flounder in season right now, yes, they open December 1st. Do you have descending devices on deep water trips? Yes, we do, but you're welcome to bring your own, and it's encouraged to bring your own as well. But our 39-hour trips, 44-hour trips, 12-hour extreme trips, we have descending devices on the boat. Now, we don't use descending devices on every fish. We typically are going to use a venting tool 95% of the time, but if it's a really big fish, or if it's a fish that doesn't want to go down real well, or something that we want to take some extra special care of, like a really big breeder, then we'll use that descending device more frequently. But you're welcome to use your own descending device, and you're welcome to descend every fish you catch if you'd like, especially this time of year where there's so much room around the boat, you can go crazy with it. Where are the cobia? That is a great question. Gulf-wide, a lot of people are complaining about the cobia stock, the cobia biomass. Our area has never really been a big directed cobia fishery. In the bay, some guys have a directed cobia fishery, and what I mean by a directed fishery is you come to me and say, I want to book a cobia trip, and I say, all right, let's book a cobia trip, and I am confident I can take you out in a boat and catch you a cobia. That does not happen here very much, if at all. Some inshore guides can do that very small times a year, like around the power plant. But it's not one of those things that's a huge fishery here. In the northern Gulf, up on the beaches, they sight fish for cobia heavy. You could sight fish for cobia around our beaches too, but we just don't have a huge cobia fishery here. We never really have had a huge cobia fishery here. We've had them. There's definitely people that can go out there and catch them. It's kind of one of those, you have to know what you're doing really, really well to target them species, but they are definitely not what they were. Like when I was working the deck often on the hub, when I was 12, 13, 14, 15, even up to 18 to 20 years old, we caught cobia like once, twice, 3 times a week, sometimes 2 or 3 a trip. And they were often 60, 70, 80, 90-pound cobia. Big, big, big fish. It was very common to see a cobia swim up to the back of the boat during a trip. Now we catch a cobia every 6 months, if that. Sometimes we go a year without. I mean, I don't really remember a significantly sized cobia in the last year and a half, 2 years. Whereas when I was younger, we were catching 90-pound cobia almost daily. It was crazy. And we caught a lot we saw a lot of turtles. We saw, it was just different, right? So cobia fishing has definitely changed. A lot of people contribute that to the BP oil spill, the downturn of, whatchamacallit, what's that grass called? That everybody was worried about taking over the beaches. Sargassum grass is what juvenile cobia recruit to and where they grow up. So a lot of our species like gag grouper are born offshore, and their little tiny year 0, the little plankton gag grouper float into the estuary and grow up in the mangroves, get bigger, and then they swim to the bridges, and then eventually they swim offshore. Whereas a cobia, amberjack, some of these other species, these semi-pelagic, coastal migratory pelagic, CMP species, they are born offshore, and their little plankton size year 0, they recruit sargassum grass. So they live in these sargassum clumps in the middle of the Gulf, And then as they grow up and get bigger, they can venture away from the sargassum. Whereas we haven't had a lot of sargassum weed in the Gulf like we have historically had. Some people contribute that, again, to the BP oil spill. Other people say other different reasons why, but definitely has been potentially a contributing factor to the downturn in amberjack, cobia, and king mackerel. But who knows? There's a lot of different theories on that one, but who knows? But like you said, power plant is definitely a place you can find cobia when it starts getting really, really cold. Is there a plan to run a jigging trip in 2024? We had a bunch of jigging trips in 2022. We ran like one a month. They were super popular, sold out way in advance. So in 2023, I offered a bunch of jigging trips, and they were not popular at all. So 2024, we're not going to do specific jigging trips. At least we're not going to do a bunch of them. But if we have guests who are interested, potentially we could put one together. Maybe we'll do like a list or something like that. But at this time, we're not planning strict jigging only trips in 2024. But most people don't enjoy those jigging only trips. A lot of people that enjoyed the jigging only trips in 2022 learned how to jig really well, and now they don't want to go on a jigging only trip. They like going on a 39-hour trip where some people are using bait, and they use a jig a little bit, and then they use some bait, or they'll jig the whole time while everybody else is using bait and out fishing. So a lot of jigging only folks will enjoy doing bait fishing trips to give them the flexibility. So the jig only trips, I think, kind of wore out their welcome in a way. So not planning them for 2024, at least right now. What's the best bait to use for redfish and best time of year? Now, redfish is not our specialty at Hubbard's Marina. Captain Mike Anderson, if you go on our website, to hubbardsmarina.com, and right on our website you can hit private charters, and you can hit private, where is it? I think it's under private charter fishing. It's the first one, isn't it? Yeah, there it is. Private charter fishing, very first one, and inshore fishing. Then this brings up the Captain Mike Anderson page. His phone number is right there. You can give him a shout, book a charter, and chat with him. But he is the inshore fishing specialist, and he can get you linked up with someone to get you set up on an inshore charter adventure. But best time of year for redfish is definitely going to be what we just went through, right? September, October, early November. Once it starts, the water temperatures start getting into the mid to upper 60s, it starts slowing down a little bit. But cut pinfish, cut thread fins, really good baits. But during peak redfish time, September, October, early November, white bait is common, like greenbacks, soft plastics, and just kind of matching what they're feeding on, whether that's small pinfish. Summertime and cool, cold months, most of the time cut bait in the summertime, like cut thread fins, cut mullet, cut ladyfish. In the really cold times, they switch to shrimp for the most part. What are the best weather and tide apps? I have 47 weather apps on my phone, at least. And I have just as many tide apps. But I have recently switched to only using one tide website, smartfishingtides.com. It's a Salt Strong product. You have to be a Salt Strong member to use it. But if you go to smartfishingtides.com, you can actually use it if you give them their I asked Joe and Luke, and I think they opened it up. Can you try Smart Fishing Tides? I guess it's not going to work because we're logged in. Maybe venture to it in a incognito window. Maybe that'll work. But Smart Fishing Tides is really cool because what it gives you is your tidal locations. I believe if you're not a Salt Strong member, you can still use it if you give them your email. Is basically what they want. Then they give you permission to use this page. But it gives you the strike score, which is a really cool, quick look at a 1 out of 10 score based on the weather. So you could see here, Salt Strong's algorithm agrees with me, What I said earlier was Friday and Saturday are your best chances to fish. Look at that. It's this inshore fishing app is agreeing based on weather and moon phase and all the different variables that they take into account. Friday, Saturday, and even Sunday before the front is going to be the best fishing. So it's pretty interesting how this all comes into place. Plus, it's right before a new moon, too. So that's going to be a really good weekend to fish. So that gives you that. Then it gives you the tidal breakdown. And then down here, it gives you an hourly breakdown. So I really like smartfishingtides.com. If you're a Salt Strong member, it's a no-brainer. If you're not a Salt Strong member, again, I believe you can still use that website if you give them your email. But if you're not a Salt Strong member, it's only I think it's $99 at our special link, saltstrong.com/Hubbard. It gives you, I believe it's $99. It gives you a membership for a year and all the different special classes that we filmed with Salt Strong. So it's really, really bad to the bone. So check out that link, saltstrong.com/Hubbard. As far as weather apps, I like using Windfinder, which shows you GFS forecast models. I like using Windy, which shows you the Euro forecast models. Now on Windy, you can log in there and you can actually toggle different forecast models if you know what you're doing and you go into the settings. So Windy is pretty cool for that reason because it's a little bit more editable. And Windy gives you long-term patterns. Windfinder is a little bit better at giving you specific location forecasts and gives you a little bit more buoy information. So I like looking at Windy. I like looking at Windfinder. But then I really like looking at the buoys as well because the buoys show you what's actually happening. So I'll look at the forecast of a buoy on Windfinder. I'll look at the general area on Windfinder. And then I'll look at the buoy and see what's actually happening. And if they're forecasting 3-foot seas, but the buoy's only showing 2-foot seas, I know the forecast is wrong. If they're forecasting 4-foot seas and the buoy's showing 6, I know they're wrong. So looking at the buoy, looking at the forecast, and then looking at the radar is a big thing. I like Radar Scope. It's expensive for the pro version, but it's worth it for me. My Radar is a pretty decent free app. If you want a free radar app, but there's a bunch of them out there. So check them out. Do your homework. Find out what works best for you. But everybody has their own personal preferences, but those are the ones I like using the most. Let's do another giveaway. Let's do our Hubbard's Marina swag pack. Hubbard's Marina swag pack. Lucky winner is Jeff Hunt from South Carolina. Congratulations, Jeff Hunt, on that big swag pack win. Remember, you got to send us your shirt size along with your full home address so we can get that out to you. Angel Parent Perez, appreciate those 320 stars. Richard Harcourt with another big 250 stars. Appreciate you, my friend. Jason Coling sending some more stars as well. Appreciate you guys so much. All right, let's see here. Can we talk about rod choices tonight? No worries, but I'm shopping for a new rod for my Daiwa LD60. The thing about rods to pair with reels is it's really hard to talk about rod choices unless we're like standing in the shop looking at rods together, right? Because first things first, what totally dictates the conversation is what's your budget, right? And one thing I got to remind people is if you're buying a Daiwa LD60 2-speed, that's like a $650, $700 reel. So if you're going to spend that much on the reel, you need to be ready to invest $300, $350 into the rod or more, because really your rod should be your biggest investment. Now, it's hard with some of these high-end conventional offshore reels because they get to be $400, $500, $600, $700, $800 sometimes. So they don't make rods that are that expensive. So you still want to invest in a really high-quality rod. $250, $300, $350 is really where you want to be if you're going with a high-end reel of $400, $500 or more dollars. So be prepared for that. And I would say the Bull Bay custom Hubbard's Marina rods that Bull Bay made for us are really nice. We also have that line of Fletcher's custom rods in our shop as well. And if you stop by the shop, I can show you the different options. But I would say with this LD60, I'd probably go with a 30 to 80 or 50 to 100 for sure. And those reels, or those rods and reels, are both on Black Friday special until December 16th. So come by the shop before December 16th, and you can get a deal on the rod and the reel. So it's worth it. Do you brine thread fin on a 39-hour trip? We do not. We have our thread fins in freezers. We pull them out of the freezer so they're fresh, frozen. You could grab a handful of them and just use them right out of the freezer. So we don't brine them because we have freezers on the boat. You don't necessarily need to brine them. Does it work well? Yes. Is it recommended? Yeah, it works pretty darn well. Do you need to? No. You can often get away with just a bucket and grabbing a handful of thread fins at the start of each spot. Break a few off the frozen box. Works just fine. So, do you need to brine? No. Do we brine? No. Can you brine? Yes. Is it recommended? Yeah. You need to bring a small cooler, like a 6-pack cooler, and a big thing of salt. Some people really argue about what kind of salt works best. I think just table salt is fine. And then that's really all you need, because we filmed a video about how to brine bait, and we talked a little bit about using ice in the brine. You don't really need a lot of ice if the bait's really frozen. So we really need to redo that video eventually. But just a layer of frozen bait, heavy layer of salt, layer of frozen bait, heavy layer of salt, and just continue that all the way up until your cooler's full. You could put a little bit of ice on the top if you wanted to, but you really don't need much ice. And then I always sprinkle in a little bit of water on top. But remember, you can go right to our website, and on our website, you can hit fishing trips, scroll down to fishing video links, and then hit fishing tips and tricks. And the fishing tips and tricks page is loaded down with tons of videos on how to tie rigs, how to tie knots, how to tie a double snell rig, how to brine the bait, how to cook your fish. Lots of different rigs and options and insider tips. So check out the fishing tips and tricks page. And we need to add some more videos to that page. What's the bag limit for triggerfish? 1 per person per day, off the top of my head, I think. But I will triple check that. There's a lot of different regulations for a lot of different fish, let me tell you. And it gets a little hard to remember it all. Remember, when you go to hubbardsmarina.com, you can actually look on our website. We have a fishing regulations page. And on our fishing regulations page, it's going to bring you to the Fish Rules app. And that's the one we use to check regulations. It's actually run by the Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council folks. And State Waters is run by FWC, so they actually keep it up to date really, really well. It is a bag limit of 1 per person per day, and it's a minimum size of 15 inches to the fork. So that's the middle of the tail. So it has to be probably an 18-inch fish overall, for sure. But 1 per person per day, so you're allowed 2 on a 39-hour. That's what I thought. I just wanted to verify. Have you ever used crickets for a sheep's head? I have not ever heard of that, nor have I done it myself. Generally using small pieces of shrimp or a barnacle or a fiddler crab myself, generally. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Let's see here. What is the best time of year for the 12-hour night mangrove snapper trip? Any time of year. The 12-hour night mangrove snapper trip is only planned around moon phases that are conducive. Also, it comes down to the weather, right? So generally, historically, summer months are better for mangrove snapper fishing at night. So historically, we only offered that 12-hour night snapper trip around spring and summer. Then as mangrove snapper fishing got better and better in cooler months, we started offering it early spring to late fall. Now it's to the point where really mangrove snapper fishing at night is good almost all year round, and it's almost better in the cooler months now. It's kind of changed quite a bit in the last 5 years. It's been shifting more and more and more. So really any time of year is good for the 12-hour night snapper, and now we offer that 12-hour night snapper all year round. Just in the cooler months, we offer it less often, once a month, maybe twice a month, whereas in the summer months, spring months, we offer it much more frequently. Who will be the captains for the 39-hour trip next year? Right now, our 39-hour captains generally are going to be Captain Will, Captain Garrett, Captain James, maybe some Captain Brian, and maybe some Captain Mark as well. Generally, it's going to be Will, James, and Garrett. Seems as though how things are shaking out at this point. Going out next Friday to target kingfish. Any tips running out of Clearwater? Follow the pack. Out of Clearwater right now, they're catching some kingfish pretty close to shore, and a lot of the charter guys are just cruising up and down the beach, not too far out. That Clearwater hard bottom is holding a lot of kingfish from what I'm hearing. So you don't have to go very far for the kingfish. Trolling king spoons, the little plugs, the lip diving plugs are all great options for the kingfish. Let's see here. We got to do another giveaway, Josh. We have our 10-hour all day for 2 guests to give away. All right, 10-hour all day for 2 guests. Lucky winner of that 10-hour all day for 2 is George Arterburn. Need to plan another trip soon. Well, now you have an excuse. Congratulations, George. You have won our 10-hour all day for 2 guests. You got 5 minutes or less to claim that free trip by texting us your full home address at the bottom of the screen. So get on the phone and shoot us a text with your full home address, George. Congrats on the win. What do you recommend for people who get motion sickness but love fishing? Slam a beer. I say that jokingly, but it really does work. I find so often motion sickness is really in your head. It's a really heady thing. If you get out of your head, if you go into it, I get motion sickness when I get on a boat. I'm scared. I'm going to get seasick. What do I need to take? How do I avoid this? And you're thinking about it, you're going to get seasick. Whereas if you go into it and you're like, oh, yeah, let's go fishing. Oh, I'm excited. You won't get seasick. So it's very interesting how that works. But if you are someone who's gotten sick in the past, it's a good idea to take something that's going to put your mind at ease. Like, hey, I'm wearing this patch. I'm not going to get seasick. And now you're confident you won't get seasick. You won't get seasick. What does the patch work, or does the confidence? Is it the placebo effect? Who knows? The patch is a common thing. The wrist is a common thing. The pills, Bonine, Dramamine, there's a bunch of different ones. But there is really no substitute for slamming beers. If you're going fishing for fun and you're not driving, slamming a beer or 2 on the way out and having fun with your friends is a surefire way to make sure you don't get seasick, because you're going to be thinking about having fun and catching big fish, and you won't be thinking about getting seasick. But it's a good idea. Ginger is a good one. Fresh ginger, slamming some ginger pills the night before. Whatever you do, get it in your system ahead of time. People are putting the patch on as they load the boat. That doesn't work. You want whatever medicine you're going to be taking, you want in your bloodstream already. So take a heavy dose the night before, a light dose before you get on the boat, and then another light dose every 6 hours you're on the boat. A lot of people mess that up too. They get on the 39-hour and they're all good, and then halfway through the trip they get seasick because they haven't taken any more motion sickness medication. So heavy dose the night before, light dose the morning of, light dose every 6 hours through the trip. If you're wearing the patch, just put the patch on the night before and make sure the patch is on after you wake up and it's not in your bed somewhere, and you're good to go there. So just get sick and rally.
Get sick and keep fishing.
I don't think your mic's on.
No, it's not.
Josh said what he does is just get sick and keep fishing.
Yeah, just blow chunks. That's chum right there. Eat a real hearty meal the night before.
And a hearty breakfast.
You're good.
Yeah, having an empty stomach to start out is also a good idea because
Yes.
the beer hits you faster.
See, I don't get seasick every time. Sometimes I'll go out with Jared and I'll be fine, and then I'll go out with the Supporters Club 3 years ago, and they still talk about me getting sick.
You just never know.
You just never know when it's going to hit you.
Richard Harcourt, appreciate those stars, my friend. How can I catch a shark offshore? Pretty darn easy lately. We're catching a lot of sharks offshore. We need a little bit more information. Are you trying to fish for a shark on your own boat? Are you trying to fish for a shark on our boat? What trips? If you're going to fish from a kayak, where's the best place to fish on a kayak? I would launch at, what's that called? Jungle Parada boat ramp. Fish the islands inside Tampa Bay. There's Dogleg Key right there. You could paddle over to the estuary islands inside the pass on a good outgoing tide, fish the bridge, and then tide changes, comes incoming. You can ride that incoming tide right back to the boat ramp. Jungle Parada boat ramp is a real good spot. Boga Ciega boat ramp, Millennium Park, the VA park, good place as well. So those would be my 2 boat ramps if I was kayak bound. Let's see, what other questions we have? We got time for 1 or 2 more before we wrap up here. Good medicine is ginger. Candy crystallized ginger is best. Yes, 100%. Ginger is a good one. Fresh ginger root is a good one. Tammy, when I was real young, like 8, 9 years old, going on 39-hour trips, sometimes at night it would throw me, especially if it was rough. And definitely Tammy always had these fresh ginger pills, and it was literally just a capsule with crushed up ginger. And I would slam a handful of those, not a handful, but I would take a lot of them, and it would really soothe my stomach and work pretty well. So ginger is a good one. Don Shuett, appreciate those 200 stars, my friend. Are there any rules for trolling when we're out? Yes, on our boats, we don't troll on 12-hour trips. 10-hour trips is rare that you can troll. 5-hour trips, 39, 44 hours, you can always troll as long as there's an open spot at the stern. If you have a stern spot, you have first right refusal to troll. If you don't have a stern spot, then you have the opportunity to troll if someone on the stern isn't trolling. And you just want to be courteous to those around you. As far as rules go, you're kind of on your own. It's a bottom fishing trip. We're out there to bottom fish. So if you choose to troll on the way out, that's fine. But you are kind of left to your own devices. So you need to know what you're doing, and you need to be careful, and you need to be courteous to those around you. If you catch a fish, we'll help you gaff it and get it in the boat, but you got to retrieve it. So unless it's a really big fish, you got to retrieve it while the boat's moving. So that means you need an oversized, really big reel. You guys said you use the Windy apps. Are there 2 Windy apps? One is windy.com. The other is a Windy app. They're the same. It's Windy has a website. Windy has an app. I use the app on my cell phone. I use windy.com on the computer, but it looks the same, acts the same. I do recommend the pro version if you're going to buy the app. It's like $2.99. It's worth it. You can swipe to the right and see a super forecast, which is nice. What was that next question? Are there any lighter load fishing dates coming up? Every date. Literally every date. We have a 39-hour coming up Friday with like 30 people on it. The 10 hours, like I said, are averaging 18, 20, 25, maybe 30 people. Half-day trips are super light as well, so really light loads on all of our trips, really all month until we get closer to Christmas. The week before Christmas, we start to get busy. The week after Christmas, the week between Christmas and New Year's, is the busiest week of the year at Hubbard's Marina. Then as soon as New Year's Day comes, it dies. So from now until the week before Christmas, it's slow. Super light loads, great time to come if you're a local or if you happen to be in town. The week before Christmas, we start getting busy. Week after Christmas, before New Year's, is chaos. As soon as New Year's Day happens, it's dead. And then it slowly picks up around Valentine's Day. So if you're local, if you are wintertime resident, whatever, you want to aim to go now. The next 3 weeks is a good time to go. And then that first 6 weeks of the year is a good time to go. Lighter loads. All right. Next question. We got time for one more. Let's see if we got one more. Let's see. I got some photos sent to us. Cool. I don't know if we have another question queued up here. What is a good party boat rod for hogfish? Hogfish, generally, we're using spinning rods, and they're all about the same. So it really comes down to your budget. But we have a lot of options for you in the shop. Wanted to try to get some snook in December. Where do you recommend to fish in the area? How's snook fishing at night? Snook fishing at night in our area is best May, June, July, into August. This time of year, December, nighttime fishing for snook gets tough. You got to really know what you're doing, and you got to really kind of scout out the areas. I don't want to give away the areas around Johns Pass because there's not very many of them. But I can tell you, you're looking for the mouths of creeks, rivers, bayous. You want to kind of go up into the back bay, upper bay, protected bay areas and look for them there. Let's see. I'm interested in grouper rod for next year's gag grouper season. Would you recommend a 30 to 80 or 50 to 100 bull bay rod? It depends on the reel you're putting on it. If you remember, it doesn't matter what line is on your reel. It remembers how much drag power your reel has. If you're buying a reel with 40 pounds of drag power, it doesn't make sense to buy a 50 to 100 pound class rod. It's too heavy. It's overpowered in my opinion. A 30 to 80 would be perfect for like a Daiwa LD50. You're getting like an LD60, a bigger, heavier duty reel, maybe a 50 to 100 makes more sense. So it really depends on the reel's drag rating and its size and weight. If it's a lighter 40-pound class rod or reel with a drag rating of around 40 pounds, a 30 to 50 would make sense. So it kind of depends on your reel and your drag power and its weight. All right. Do we run spearfishing charters, or why don't we run spearfishing charters? Purely liability. My father actually did in the 80s and early 90s run dive charters. He ran spearfishing charters. He even had a radio show dedicated to diving and spearfishing. Huge liability issues, and ran into a couple issues, and we'll never do it again. It scares the ever-living crap out of me. I'm a diver. I spearfish. There's so many things that can go wrong so easily. So it's one of those things that as a business, it's difficult. There are dive charters around that do a great job. If you're looking for a spearfishing charter, call our friends at Touche Charters in Clearwater. They're out of Dunedin, I believe. Dunedin, Clearwater, somewhere in there. Touche, TJ Shea, Captain TJ Shea does a great job. Also, Frank Salibi, I think it's called, I forget the name of his company off the top of my head, but I have a couple dive charters in the area, so you could shoot us a message and we can help you out. But we do not do it ourselves, and we do not plan on it. That is the end of our live stream show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Check us out next week and every Sunday night right here for our Hubbard's Marina live stream show. Remember, Off the Hook with Captain Hubbard every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Make sure you tell a friend. Please help us to spread the good word of our live stream show. So every week I need you to tell a friend to tune in Sunday nights at 7:30 p.m. When you're out fishing with us, tell people on the boat around you, hey, do you listen to the show? Do you like the show? I love the show. It's the best show ever. Help us to spread the word. Tell a friend. Tell people you fish with. Tell your fishing buddies. Tell whoever to tune in and join us. So help me spread the word of the show. Make sure you join us every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Come out and go fishing with us. Enjoy these lighter loads and great fishing opportunities. And don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. Final note, check out our Final Friday events. Every last Friday of the month, we give away free food, free beer, free soda, free water. We have a great time, live music. It's a huge customer appreciation event. We do it every final Friday from 6 to 9 p.m., every last Friday of the month. This final Friday happens to be coinciding with a very special event. This final Friday coming up is December 29th. That happens to be Captain Mark Hubbard's, my father's, birthday. So going to be a big one, going to be a special one. So come out and join us final Friday, December 29th. We're going to have a cookie contest as well. First place cookies gets $300 in trip fare. Second place gets $100. Third place gets a Hubbard's Marina swag pack. So bring some cookies with you if you want to enter the cookie contest. That'll be rolling that night as well. So cookies, crawfish, and lots of free beer. So join us December 29th, 6 to 9 p.m. Join us every Sunday night right here, 7:30 p.m. Join us every Saturday morning from 6 to 8 for our radio show. And come see us on the boat. If you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. Let's see who won our 39-hour trip for one lucky winner. 39-hour trip for one lucky winner is Alan Masson from Pembroke Pines. Congratulations, Alan. Awesome, my friend. Hopefully we'll see you guys soon. Come out and see us and join us for the Supporters After Show. We've got our after show going live at 8:50. 8:50 is our Supporters After Show. It's a great time. More information, more questions, and more one-on-one communication. A little bit more intimate, less people. So join us for the Supporters After Show. It's only $4.99 a month to be a supporter. It's a great way to help support the show and get some private access and more one-on-one communication. So tune in to the Supporters After Show at 8:50. Y'all have a good night. Tight lines. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.